Hello and welcome to this weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Greek, and I have something fun to show you today. I have the guided annotating edition of the Greek New Testament. It's the Tyndale House edition of the Greek New Testament, published by Tyndale House at Cambridge. You may know this is an alternate critical edition of the Greek New Testament. The sort of standard critical edition is the Nestle Aland, now in the 28th edition, or the United Bible Society in the 5th edition. And an alternate critical edition is the Tyndale House Greek New Testament, published by Tyndale House at Cambridge. And they've partnered with Crossway and continue to turn out some really helpful things. So this most recent thing is a guided annotating edition. So basically what you have is you have the text really spaced out. Let's see if you can take a look at it. So you have lots of space to annotate, to write around it. You also have, it's sort of a reader's edition that you have rare vocabulary and parsing of more difficult forms at the bottom. In addition to this, there are helpful introductions for each book. So I want to make sure I don't forget what is included here. So for example, here we have the Gospel of Matthew. It starts with a section of significant vocabulary for each book. So some of the repeated or common or important vocabulary for that book. And then there's some discussion about the author's style and particular grammatical constructions that may be of significance as you work through that book. Then there's a section, this is very helpful, comparing the Tyndale House edition and the Nestle Aland 28th edition. So a section, a little chart of select differences where they feel like, hey, you might want to be aware that the Tyndale House editors reached some different conclusions on these particular verses that maybe are more significant. Then there's additional resources and suggested further reading. I think this is a great resource. The general editor is Daniel Ng. His last name, I'm not sure I'm saying his name correctly, E-N-G. Daniel, last name is E-N-G. I've talked with Daniel several times at conferences. He's a great guy. I believe he's at Western Seminary. A young and talented scholar, and I think this was his vision, and he enlisted all these other scholars on the particular books. So this is the work of a group of scholars with people focusing on their specialization, writing the introduction to each one of the books. I think it's a great thing. The only criticism I've heard of it is it's big. So if you look at it, it's a pretty good size. So not something you're going to carry in your coat pocket, right? But a really delightful volume, allowing you to make notations, giving you some help with difficult vocabulary or parsing, and also as having an expert in that book come alongside you and say, hey, take note of these features, these particular stylistic grammatical features in this book.